Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of English with Gemma, where we turn English practice into progress. Today, we have a full episode because it is Saturday. I used to post the full episodes on Friday. Now we switched to Saturday. And that is because I'm doing mini-sodes on Wednesdays. So the new posting schedule is a mini episode on a Wednesday and a full episode on a Friday. So let's get into it. Today we have another weird news story. We haven't done a weird news story in a while. And it's basically when I tell you a news story from around the world, from any place, any time. And it's a little bit weird or interesting or funny. And I point out some interesting vocabulary, phrases, expressions, phrasal verbs, blah, blah, blah. So today we have the Great Emu War, when Australia went to war with birds. So emu is spelled EMU, and I'm talking about that big, big bird that lives in Australia, and I don't know where else in the world. If you are a British person, then you probably would say emu, emu. But I don't say emu, I say emu because I have an American accent. So I'm going to be saying emu today. And I'm sorry to all my British friends who think that's wrong, but it's just how American accented people say it. So you might think I'm making this story up, but I swear it's 100% true, and you can look it up for yourself if you don't believe me. So we are going back to the year 1932 in the wild landscapes of Western Australia. And we are talking about the time that Australia had a war with birds, with these emus. Yes, a real war that was fought against giant flightless birds. Flightless means they can't fly. It all began in the early 1930s. World War I had ended not long before, and thousands of Australian soldiers had returned home from battle. Unfortunately, many of them were struggling to find work, so the government came up with an idea. They offered these former soldiers land, but there was a small problem. The land was dry, remote, and incredibly difficult to farm. Add to that the fact that there was already the Great Depression, which was an economic collapse where food prices collapsed completely. And then you've got farmers who were barely scraping by. And just when things couldn't get worse, the farmers got some very unexpected visitors. So that's our section one. Let's look at our vocab. To come up with an idea. This means to think of or invent an idea. I said remote. Remote means far away from cities or people, not to be confused with the noun remote, which is for the TV. This is an adjective, remote. I also said that the farmers, because of the Great Depression, were barely scraping by. This means they were just about managing to survive financially. And then finally, I said that they had some unexpected visitors. I was referring to the birds, the emus. All right, let's continue. Every year after the breeding season, around 20,000 emus, huge, fast, flightless birds, migrated across Western Australia in search of food and water. In 1932, they discovered the farmers' fields full of golden wheat and decided it was their perfect buffet. Emus can run up to 50 kilometers an hour. They can jump fences and they travel in large groups. Within days, they had devoured and trampled entire crops. Farmers tried chasing them away, but it was hopeless. The birds just kept coming. So the farmers turned to the government again. But this time, instead of asking for money, they asked for weapons. They wanted the army to come and fight the birds. And unbelievably, the government agreed. All right, let's pause for our vocab. So, I said they migrated to move from one place to another, often seasonally, especially when we talk about animals. I said the emus thought that these fields of wheat were the perfect buffet. This is a meal where you can eat as much as you want and you can take whatever you want from a selection of food. That's a buffet. I then said that the emus devoured and trampled the crops. To devour means to eat something quickly, and to trample means to crush something with your feet when you are stepping on it very heavily. I said that it was hopeless trying to, scare the birds away was hopeless. It means without hope, impossible to succeed. And then I said that the farmers turned to the government. To turn to someone means to ask someone for help. Part 3, the war begins. So picture this. The Australian military sends a small team of soldiers armed with 2 Lewis machine guns and 10,000 rounds of ammunition to take care of the emu problem. The mission was supposed to be quick and efficient, but as soon as they started, they realized they were in way over their heads. The emus were clever. They moved in small groups, they ran in unpredictable directions, and they even ducked for cover when they heard gunfire. In one report, a soldier even wrote, "The emus have proven." Oh, I'm sorry, this is so funny. In one report, a soldier even wrote, "The emus have proven that they are not as stupid as they look. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks." It turned out the birds were almost impossible to hit. And even when soldiers managed to kill a few, hundreds more would appear over the horizon, like feathery reinforcements. The military kept trying for weeks, but every plan failed. The emus were simply too fast, too organized, and too stubborn. All right, let's look at this vocabulary. They realized they were in way over their heads. To be in over your head means that you're involved in something that is too difficult for you to manage. The emus ducked for cover when they were shot at. This means to quickly hide to protect yourself from danger. I said gunfire. This means the sounds of guns being shot. Invulnerability means impossible to harm or damage. Reinforcements, I said the emus kept sending feathery reinforcements. That means extra soldiers to help that arrive to support you. And finally, I said the emus were just very stubborn. If you're stubborn, it means you are very set in your ways and you don't want to give up or change. You refuse to give up. One day, the soldiers found a group of about 1,000 emus gathered near a dam, and they thought, "This is it. We'll finally win." They set up the machine gun, aimed carefully, and fired. But after only a few seconds, the gun jammed. By the time they fixed it, the emus had scattered into the bush. They killed maybe a dozen birds out of 1,000. So, not great. After several more failed attempts, the soldiers gave up. And then the newspapers started mocking the army, calling it the Great Emu War. Headlines read things like "Emus outwit the military" and "Australian Army loses battle to birds." It was humiliating, but also hilarious. The idea of brave soldiers with machine guns running after a bunch of birds was just so ridiculous. Eventually, the government withdrew the troops. Officially, they claimed it was a strategic retreat. I mean, unofficially, they lost to the emus. So let's look at the vocab. Set up, aim, and fire. This is a sequence of shooting related verbs: to set up, to prepare, to aim, to lock in on your target, and fire, to shoot. The machine gun jammed. To jam is when a machine stops working properly and it gets stuck. The emus scattered into the bush. That means they ran away into wild rural land. The newspapers were mocking the soldiers. To mock means to make fun of someone. All right, so conclusion. After the war, the government helped farmers to build stronger fences instead of using weapons. I think that's probably the best approach. And the emus, they carried on as usual, wandering through the countryside, totally unaware they had just defeated an entire army. The story kind of became like a national joke. And, it's a symbol of Australia's wild and unpredictable nature. And today, Australians love to say that the emus are undefeated. And there are songs, memes, and even t shirts celebrating their victory. So it's a perfect reminder that, like, sometimes humans overestimate their control, and nature often has the last laugh. All right, final vocabulary. To carry on means to continue, and to carry on as usual means to continue normally. Totally unaware means you don't know or you don't notice something. Undefeated means you've never lost, you've never been defeated. Overestimate means to think something is greater or easier than it really is. And I said at the end, nature has the last laugh. To have the last laugh in a situation means that you win, that you are successful or you are victorious. So if nature has the last laugh, it's like nature won against humans. Thank you guys for listening to today's episode. If you enjoyed this story and you like weird news stories, then share it with a friend, share it with somebody who might like it and who also is working on their English and likes vocab, idioms, phrasal verbs, expressions. And remember, until next time, stay weird, stay curious, and don't pick a fight with emus because you'll probably lose. All right, guys, see you in the next episode. Bye.